Okay, so basically this is going to be a short video tutorial on how to use BSP brushes. Now, BSP, if you don't really know what that is, it's basically how you can sort of make your own buildings or like areas without having to, I don't know, without having to resort to static meshes like these buildings here. So a good example is this massive building over here. I made it all using BSP meshes. It's not exactly perfect, but it's what I was going for at the time because there wasn't really a static mesh I could use. As you can see, same here with this small building. It's crafted with BSP meshes, BSP brushes, sorry. But you can see the textures are sort of stretched in areas, and in other areas they're like tiled really badly, and I'll get onto that later. But for the most part, it's a really quick and simple way of just like quickly grey boxing your level, or maybe making something, you know, much better in the end run. Like in Red Orchestra 2, BSP brushes were used quite a lot in some levels. So anyway, I'm just gonna make a small, like, tiny house or whatever. So first we'll just get like a brush, wherever it is, right all the way over there. So if you haven't guessed, like most of this area here is made with BSP brushes. So it's quite a cool way to like make a city or whatever if you're running out of like meshes or like houses or whatever. So to start off with, you need to select a material. Now I can just type in any material here. If I bring in the material window, or the browser window, sorry, and let's search any material really. It doesn't really have to be specific for this tutorial. God, I don't know, there's so many to choose from. How about we just, for this instance, we just choose rooftop tiles. So make sure you have it selected. And, well, we've got the brush here, and we do add. And as you can see, it's made like a little cube of just rooftop tiles. Now, if you forget to select a material, you can sort of select some of the edges, and you can try and drag on a different material. So I'm gonna choose, I don't know, red or something. So I'll select that and just drag it on, and there you go. You can just replace it. But sometimes with some meshes, sorry, BSP, yeah, again I keep getting them mixed up. With some of them, it's a bit confusing because you click on like some of the areas, and if you can't hear it, I'm like clicking here, and it won't, I don't know, it just won't select it. So it's a bit weird, like, I don't know what exactly causes this glitch at the moment. I don't know if there's a simple fix to it, but you have to select it at a weird angle sometimes. Just like, keep going around selecting it, and you'll be able to like touch that wall eventually. And the tricky part is you have to like select the exact spot yet again to apply the material. So there you go, I just applied that, but I'm going to Control Z because I want my building to stay beautiful. So anyway, now that we've selected our cube once again, and say we want to put like a little indent in here, I'm going to change it to a cube. Sorry, God. Sphere of some sort. And I'm going to change, like, I don't know, the number to 5 maybe. So you can see that's way too many. So change it down to like 3. There we go, that's something basic. As you can see, the basic little cube right there, sorry. Basic little sphere right there. And we can move it about or scale it to exactly where we want it. So say I wanted to make it look like someone shot a rocket at this or something, and a chunk was taken out. Now the cool thing is we don't have to leave it just as the volume. So what we can do, we can select the geometry mode, and we can select the sides, extrude the sides out and everything. So let's say I just move some of these sides like downwards or whatever, if it would let me. God, there we go. Now here's the cool thing, so we can stay on geometry mode, but just because I'm like the way I am, I like to just go back to normal mode, Make sure we have our material selected, so I'm still on the orange material in the material window, and I do subtract. And doing that, as you can see, it takes a nice little chunk out of the building, and where we pulled the brush down a tiny bit, you can see it's gone down a tiny bit as well. Now, what if you don't have a material selected? So a good example is if I just select like this in the content browser window, so I've got the car selected in the content browser window right here. So I then go back to the brush. Let's just make, I don't know, like a little, yeah, something like that. So right out of the way here. Now this might work, this might not. So if I subtract again, yeah, there you go, it works. So as you can see, it's got no material there. Now that can be ignored, I guess, when you're grey boxing the level. But if you want it to be like the final output, then you have to sort of change the material. As you can see, like when you select it sometimes, it doesn't select it like I showed earlier. So what I found for the most part is like in some faces it'll be fine. Yeah, other faces you'd have to like select, I don't know, like right near the edge. So if I go back and I select, I don't know, let's choose a different material. Let's choose the tree material, that'll be nice. So choose that and I just drag and drop. Boom. But as you can see, some materials don't really match up perfectly. So you have to play around and choose. So we got our nice house here and everything. Now, what if we want to make it actually have an inside that the player can go into? So we select the cube yet again, make a cube using the volumes, drag it over. I'm going to scale this down a tiny bit. Now if we go to the top view here, this can help quite a lot with like lining it up. It's very hard to see, I don't know if you can make it out, but there's the volume of the BSP brush. It stays there in the wireframe window. This is quite helpful actually, because if I just show here, if I just move this back a bit and then I build geometry for current levels, I'll just build that quickly, and there you go, see the building has moved. So that's pretty neat, and as you can see, the other brushes that stayed there, like this one, it's changed dynamically to the movement of the other BSP brush. So anyway, as I was saying, with the building, we'll just align this up here. We'll change the faces a bit. And here's the cool thing again, if we go back into geometry mode, we can, it helps us a lot when like previewing what it could look like, because it sort of shades in it a tiny bit. So you know, I can take the top, I can go down, and it sort of shows here like there's a difference between the BSP and the brush that you currently have if you're in geometry mode. So that's good. Oops. As you can see here, also when you deselect like the meshes or the train, the BSP stays the same. So I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I think it's Q. Yeah, Q. There we go. Press Q and it hides the BSP brushes as well. Oh, where was I? Yeah. So select that. Go down a tiny bit. That's cool. So we've got a bit of a floor there. And if we go back and press subtract, oh, before I do, just quickly remembered, let's select the material so it doesn't look weird. What material should we have? Gosh, so many. Why don't we just do interior? There we go. Just put that all the way up there, and then we click subtract. Bam. And if you're not happy with the sides here, you just select the faces where you can. Remember where you selected exactly, and then you drag and drop the material. Because if you don't remember where exactly you selected, then that could cause problems. Say like you'd drag the material onto that face, and because you didn't select it in the exact location, it might go straight through the BSP and go on like, I don't know, a static mesh or like the ground or something. And that can cause a lot of problems, so you got to be careful where exactly you move it. But if I just go here and change this a tiny bit so I can make like a small window or something. I mean, houses have never really been my speciality, so oh yeah, and you got to be careful as well, like make sure it's not exactly like the same size as a window, but make sure it doesn't like, you know, reach all the way across like to the other side of the building or whatever, because then when you press subtract, it will subtract the other side of the building as well. Same goes with adding. You'll add like a massive pillar through the building or whatever. So if I go down there, select that bit, got there, and maybe move the thing as a whole down a tiny bit, and move it there. If I press subtract again, there we go. Got a nice little window. So you can do the same thing. You can like add a door onto the side or whatever. Might as well do that now. If I just go there, yet again. I mean, the cool thing about using BSP brushes as well is you could always mix in some static meshes as well, which is quite useful because with some of the buildings I've made, you can like add in the static mesh stairs and everything, and you don't have to do it at BSP. And it gets, you have to play around with it a bit, so it like looks fine. But if you get the result like right in the end, it looks really, really nice. So there we go. That's a bit of a wide door actually. Down a bit and subtract. Bam, there you go. The rare Vietnamese orange and tiled square, whatever it is, cube. But just for the sake of the tutorial, why don't we add some rubble in? So I find that in content browser, got my rubble selected right here, and I can either drag it in from the window or I can press S and click. So put that down. And there you go. So continue doing that, and eventually you'll get something nice looking, like a proper realistic destroyed building maybe, or I don't know, a big tunnel or a bunker, or maybe even like, God, I don't know, the possibility. And it crashed. Well, you get the idea. Okay, so one last thing I was going to talk about as well before the SDK crashed on me. I mentioned here like the tiling, as you can see. For the most part, this is quite annoying because you'll like, for instance, you'll make like a floor. Let's just use this roof as an example. You make like a floor. It'll be tiled like really badly. It'll be either like too few tiles or too many, and it'll just look out of place. But thankfully, using technology, we can change it. So if you select here, you double click it. If you can double click it, remember you have to select in certain areas for it to work. And you can change the alignment. So if I change like planar, it just, there we go, it looks fine. Change it to box though, same thing. Or if you change it to fit, it really, really stretches it. So yeah, just play around with that, or select default again. Or if you're not happy with that, you can like change up here with the pan, like, you know, change the rotation of it, I guess, or like, no, not rotation, how far like across the UV sort of tiles. You can change the rotation over here, so flip it 45 degrees and 90 degrees. Same with the panning over here, again. But yeah, just play around with it and see you get the results you like. But anyway, but that's it. Thank you for watching the tutorial, and I hope it helped.